All right. Hello, everyone. Or should I say, those who decide to join me on this August 9th Saturday morning. This will probably be the last stream for uh, August. I tend to take a break in August, and right now I could use one. And I haven't been live over on my other channel since I think that last week of July. So today I'm going to talk about a bunch of different things. We're going to end the summer with some, okay, this is going to compel YouTube to slap on the blue sticker. We're going to talk about some climate and temperature and that discussion. Beforehand, my brother Amal's going to come and talk to us about a notable Black inventor. But that's what we're going to delve into today. Let me make an announcement over on the original Big Discussions 76 channel. Thank you to whoever left that like. That is always much appreciated. And I do appreciate those of you who like to come over and listen to these talks on Saturday mornings and who are curious and who participate, because these discussions don't appeal to everybody. They just don't. It's not pop culture. It's not dating. It's not Sha'Carri Richardson. It's not any of that. So let me find this. And today we're going to put our thinking caps on a little bit. So I hope what I show does not scare anyone away. The good thing about taking time off is that it gives you time to think and game plan and plan for the future. Think about what worked. Think about what didn't work. You get to think about collabs going forward. And Toya, shout out to Toya, said, you and Passport OG make a really good team. You guys should team up some more. So that's something I'll be thinking about as I rest. And I think he's up to that as well to some degree. So, all right, I will see you all on the other side of the intro. We are going to start with a notable Black inventor and contributor, and then we're gonna get into the maelstrom, the mess that is the great climate debate. So go ahead, YouTube, slap that blue sticker on my video saying with the disclaimer. Go ahead, do it now. All right, I'll see you guys on the other side. Here is a word from the nameless protagonist. So I'm thinking about what you're saying, and I think this is the significance of when you say the technology is running so far out ahead of the biology, right? Because it's almost shattering that part of our natural programming.
So what's going on, what that really talks to is the reason why it's done that way is our systems operate on a seniority-based modality. So the older the particular system we've adopted, the more powerful that neurological pathway and impulse. That's why these studies are critical. Everything in our biology is predicated on these kinds of principles. The reasons why we were able to evolve as a group, because there were certain things that we were able to lean on from the group aggregate existence that allows for us to do things as individuals that are defined as healthy. And when you begin to do wholesale swapping out on a one-for-one of social modality versus technological introduction, then you begin to atrophy a lot of these things and you start having deficiencies in ways you had no idea, or you get unintended emergent behavior, as we're seeing with the behavioral sinks, for example. It's all connected to social roles, in my subjective opinion.
Welcome to Big Discussions 76, Science and Technology. Science and technology stories are all around us, and there are always science and technology stories to tell.
Hold on. All right. If you just heard that part of the intro again, I like to have the YouTube stream open while I'm streaming, the YouTube side open, because for those of you who don't know, YouTube, I was presenting something from my blog over the summer of, maybe it was 2020, during the World Health Crisis, and I was highlighting a piece about cryptocurrency and energy mining and how the coins are made through that part of my business. I was trying to merge the businesses, and midstream, I was showing an infographic, and YouTube didn't like it, and they they ended the stream, and then they took my channel down entirely. So I was on the StreamYard side, and all of a sudden I was getting this error message when I was trying to add the link to the chat there. Anyway, yeah, so that was the nameless protagonist. We were talking about the Mouse Utopia experiments and all kinds of things. When nameless comes, there's just so much. So yeah, gotta have nameless back. We talked about that. Maybe when it's appropriate, have Maggie come as well, or separately Passport OG, because Passport OG, a lot of his pieces are actually anthropological pieces capturing the culture and the times, in addition to the dysfunction. And also, I'll probably look for Dr. Patrick Dix as well, because AI, automation, machine learning, all of that is front and center right now. Anyway, before I get into the climate maelstrom, guys, we're going to have another look back at a notable Black inventor who the majority of us don't know about, myself included. So with that, I'm going to welcome back my brother Amal Dunbar, and he's going to walk us through this individual, which he highlighted using artificial intelligence, and created images and those kinds of things. So let's welcome back my brother Amal Dunbar. Good morning, bro.
Good morning. Good, bro. Thanks for having me. Thanks for sharing your platform. Peace to the big discussions. Science and technology family. It is great to be here.
All right. So I think peace to Giyagami. You are the first one in. I hope you stay and hang out for this, what we're going to look at today. Thank you for being here, Giyagami. Everybody, no matter how long you stay, I know some people jump in and they jump out just to see what's being talked about. Some people stay to the end, and I really appreciate those people. But please smash the like button no matter how long you stay, whether you're watching live or on the replay. So let me bring up today's individual. And also, what's your Instagram handle, bro? Is it Amal Dunbar?
Yes, it is at Amal Dunbar, lowercase.
Okay. Because that's where my brother posts these offerings regularly over there, and that's where I'm projecting from. So this is, well, I'll let you tell us who this is.
Well, as I said in the past, the record keeping as far as the actual photographs of some of these earlier African American or Black American inventors wasn't handled and wasn't given the care that it should have at that time. So we're talking post-slavery, the late 1800s. Some of these photographs of these inventors may not be accurate. This may actually be someone else. So I actually came across that information on a website of a major university. A researcher was saying that she kept seeing the same photographs, but for different people. So regardless, let's hope that is actually Mary Elizabeth Benjamin. She is the inventor of the signal chair. And for many of us, we have encountered this technology typically on airplanes when you like to call over a flight attendant. For some of us who have spent time, or for family members who have spent time in hospitals or medical centers, you know, somewhere by your bed there is a switch or there is a button to call a nurse to your room. So we can all thank Mary Elizabeth Benjamin, you know, for this intellectual property. Someone would have thought about it and created it at some point, but she was the first to do it, and actually she is the second African American woman to own a patent. So I'm gonna speak briefly on her bio. Mary, I'm sorry, not Mary. Miriam Elizabeth Benjamin was born September 16th in 1861, and she transitioned in 1947. She was a public school teacher and an inventor. In 1888, she obtained the patent for the signal chair, which was originally intended for hotel settings. Okay. And just shout out to all of the public school teachers. Our father, Rodney Dunbar, is a public school teacher. So shout out to all the shout out to all the public school teachers. If you're good at your job and you love your job, shout out to you. So from 1888 to 1895, Miriam was a public school teacher in the DC area. And on July 17th in 1888, she obtained her patent for the signal chair. Her original idea was, when there were large gatherings of politicians in government buildings or business people or heads of businesses, they normally had staff and servants close by. And, you know, for larger meetings or for larger gatherings, there would be tons of staff around waiting in the wings for business people and politicians to either like, you know, raise their hand and signal to them or ring a bell. So, you know, during large gatherings during the late 1800s of politicians and business people, there were business people and politicians who would often signal to their staff that they wanted a drink, or that they wanted some food, or, you know, bring me my paperwork, or, you know, bring my bag. So that was her original idea for the signal chair. And again, at some point, someone would have thought of this, but she was the first to do it, and she was the first to get a patent for it. Now, she originally thought that this would just be used in government buildings, but it spread to trains, where, again, you know, wealthy people and politicians, when they travel, they would have a staff with them to, you know, assist with luggage and carrying food or whatever the case. And so, yeah, the signal chair eventually spread to trains, and it eventually spread to hospitals. And in the modern day, you know, we see this now in on airplanes. Me personally, I don't really want to signal to a flight attendant, you know, to come to my seat because I need some help. But the technology is definitely there, and if the technology is there, then, you know, there are employees and manufacturers that produce this, you know, in this country and around the world. So I'm just scrolling through my notes here, and yeah, that's about it. She
Okay.
commissioned in 1947, and yeah, bro, if you can just quickly scroll through some of the AI artwork. The AI artwork came out pretty nicely. I had to for some of the images. If you can, next slide, please. For some of the images, um, I chose not to use them because they accurately, next slide, please. They accurately put her in outfits of that era, but some of them just made her to be like way too thin. So yeah, that would come out nice. Next slide, please. That would come out nice.
Very nice.
That would come out great. See, in Leonardo AI, it just made her way too thin. Like I can't imagine a woman of that era being that thin. So even though the outfit came out nice, I just can't imagine her being that thin unless she's wearing like a super tight corset. But
Yeah, I was gonna
regardless,
say in those days, women also wore those girdles or maybe corsets underneath their dresses to kind of bring their waists in, and I think they do that now as well. But that's neither here nor there. Okay.
yeah. So there were several images that I chose not to use that are similar to that, which just made her look just so strangely thin. But yeah, the artwork came out pretty nicely.
Okay. So this is essentially, yeah, these images are very nice. Uh, so this device, this is essentially, or one popular form of it is your button on your airline seat where you ring the bell and the flight attendant comes to say, hey, what do you need? That's what this is.
Yes, yes. And so for the modern age, for many of us in the modern age, this technology has always been around. You know, But I find it interesting that she thought of this in the late 1800s, before planes were designed and built, and that she was forward enough thinking that she could see that where there were large gatherings of business people and politicians, that there were also lots of staff around just waiting to be called. And this was a way to eliminate, maybe not get rid of jobs, but just to uh, make public spaces for business people and politicians to be less crowded.
Okay.
And
All
also,
right. Do you?
sorry,
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, as a public school teacher, this, uh, this invention shows that she had a working knowledge of wiring gadgets in either series or parallel.
Okay.
So yeah, she understood basic electrical wiring.
Okay. I was thinking this is also your hospital bed when you signal to the nurse, hey, I need some more painkiller, or I need something. I need to get up, use the bathroom. This is also an application for that as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. All right, bro. Do you have anything else on this?
Well, I mean, I kind of wish that I did. I mean, once I get through her bio and some of the AI artwork, that's really all I've got. I mean, when you get onto, well, I'm not sure about modern day trains. I'm sure maybe on some of the more fancier trains, there is this single chair technology. But as far as hospitals, medical centers, airplanes, and I'm sure modern day government buildings will have the signal chair created by Miriam Benjamin.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to bring the screen down, and I think this concludes this segment of a look back at a notable Black inventor slash scientist. And yeah, when I resume sometime after August, yeah, we'll we may not do this every single stream, but we'll continue to do this periodically.
Definitely, and if any members of the Big Discussions 76 Science and Technology audience, if they have any suggestions, we are more than happy to take those and research bios and create artwork.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, bro.
Thank you for having me, bro. Appreciate it.
Yep. Take care.
All right, bro. Peace. Love you.
Love you too. All right, everyone. I am. Let's see. Give me 1 second here. I have to grab something. That's a very, very beautiful image of the sun that I'm using there for the background. So salute to Gigami, Jamal, thank you for being here. UFO AB Media, just jump the line there. UFO Kamikaze, and Tony, he says, yeah, those they use skims now. Okay, so guys, so this stream, urban heat centers, solar radiance, urban heat centers and solar radiance, featuring the Heartland Institute and Dr. Willie Soon. So we're going to do a little bit of outer space today, and we're going to do a little bit of climate and weather. And I was thinking, I mean, by the end of the stream, those of you who stay on, you'll know who and what the Heartland Institute is. But I am subbed to their channel. And when I saw this talk with Dr. Willie Soon, I thought this would be a fun and informative topic here for my channel and my audience. There's some data. It's a 27-minute talk that's shown that, and there's data shown in this 27-minute talk. And as a science channel, we should occasionally, I really love the anthropological pieces that Passport OG does, and other social speculative topics regarding the pill and freezing eggs and how the technology is impacting our biology. We should look at data over here, okay? And analyze data and think about the data, think about numbers, look at graphs. And that is very, very central in this thing. So I hope you guys hang on till the end. And I think this channel now, again, it's more science current events, science topics, what's happening in our world right now. Freezing eggs, declining birth rates, increased the fourth industrial wave, the mouse utopia experiments, and also what's happening with the weather and the earth. These are all things that are happening. So these are things that I am going to cover. So I think to start this off, I'm going to try to, be as concise as I can here. I'm going to start with this question. Do you believe what we believe? And if you don't, damn you if you don't. And this is going to, in this clip, I think it's going to kind of point us in another direction in terms of an area that I'll be interested in going forward. And me and the nameless protagonist have talked about this when he was here. So you guys in the chat, for those of you who don't know, and this is for those of you who don't know, Dr. Jeff St. James is a therapist, and he's entered the big stage talking about the ills of Black relationships and what's wrong with Black relationships in general, but more so focused on Black relationships. He says a lot of things. I would like to talk to him about blank slate theory in gender. But he was recently on a channel called, this is for those of you who don't know, all you guys in the chat, you know who this is. He was recently on Crimson Cure a second time, and Crimson Cure introduced something, she reintroduced something that I read in her book. That's another thing I like that Jeff talked about, was we should read. We have to get back into reading, sitting down and reading and getting information for ourselves. He talked about that in this discussion. But Kendra, Miss Crimson Cure, she mentioned something that she highlighted in her book that I thought is worth revisiting here. And I'm going to play this. This is just a few minutes, then we're going to get on to urban heat centers and solar radiance. So Crimson Cure and Jeff St. James. This stream was called The Irreparable Damage. Irreparable Damage, Destroying the Gender Roles with Jeff St. James. Okay, then we're going to jump in. And there's a theme here. Do you believe what we believe? And if you don't, then, shame on you. And also, hold on. Even though I have my hard connection, StreamYard still, sometimes it goes over to the wireless connection, and I see that antenna thing. All right, fair use. This is Crimson Cure and Jeff St. James.
It's morally wrong if you think that biologically a man can't be a woman and a woman can't be a man.
All right, this feels almost illegal to know, but our windows were so old and just desperately needed to be replaced.
Mm-hmm. Now there's something wrong with you. You're you're morally corrupt. Not
if you don't believe that, yeah.
Agree with it. You're morally corrupt.
So, in talking about culture and society and civilization, science creeps in all the time. And so this is an issue of our time. And she's talking about, if you don't believe in gender fluidity and all of these alternative takes and interpretations on gender, then shame on you. Okay. And I have to play this now. Kendra just brought this to my attention. I have to play Linnea and Jess Hilarious.
Oh, okay.
Only women can have babies. I just want to let you know that.
Interesting. There are other people who can have babies.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if they have a uterus, they can have babies, but they just might not identify as women.
Okay.
Those are two different things. Like, you can be biologically female, but you can't be biologically woman. Woman is a gender construct, a social construct. But if you got a uterus, yeah, you can have a baby.
Yes, that's the point. If you have a uterus, you can have a baby.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we agree on that.
If you have a uterus, you can have a baby. All right, let's go.
Yeah. It's those kinds of things. And I'm sorry, I got a chart for everything. I'm a land. Why do we do this to each other? 1 hour. We know we're gonna talk. Anyway, but we're going back to when I break down biology, culture, and environment. When we talk about capitalism.
Okay, this chart, that figure, okay. And to the those who are on the lookout for misogyny, I don't know what to tell you, but this is in Crimson Cure's book. I've read this book. So this is called The World of Black Women. This is how she depicted it in her book. She's going to talk a little bit about what this means, but this basically gets back to what me and the nameless protagonist and others have talked about how does culture and the environment impact biology? Or should I say, do culture and the environment impact biology, or do biology and culture, or does biology impact culture and the environment? Fair use, fair use.
That's environment. The use of the institution to spur a change that's going to affect us culturally and biologically. It is my opinion that every time a bioculturon is achieved through environment first and working backwards towards biology, a bad value system is produced. If we work towards from biology to environment, a good value system is produced. This is why our movements were always cut short, because we started with biology always and culture. Okay. We would have a handle on biology and culture, who we were culturally. We would get that identity solidified. The problem that we would have in this country was the environmental change. Yeah. How do we get or seize or wrest control of the institutions? And see, that's when they started destroying us, because when we would get that, again, the institution, our educational institution, health institutions, all of those are institutions. How to educate ourselves, how to do all of that. Once we did, that's when they would cut the head off the snake.
All right, I'm going to stop that there. I wanted to show that because, once again, she was talking about views of gender and sex in modern times, and also, once again, if you don't believe what's being pushed, if you don't believe the current interpretation, then woe be to you. But that last part about the bioculturons, that gets to, does our biology impact our institutions and our environment, or is it the other way? And she's making the argument that the environment and the institutions have impacted our biology as Black people, but also as humanity in general, in terms of the birth rate crisis, in terms of culling down the entire human population, in terms of making the population feel bad about reproducing, and pushing the narrative that humans are killing the earth. Is that another form of the environment, the social environment, the political environment, and institutions? Are those affecting biology as well? Okay, so now that's kind of our intro, let's talk about urban heat centers, solar radiance, urban heat center. I had to put an "and" in my title. Urban heat centers and solar radiance, featuring the Heartland Institute and Dr. Willie soon. Okay, as an intro for this, I'm going to share, and you guys let me know what you think about any of this in the chat there. Are you familiar with any of this? I was reading, shout out to Jeff St. James, we should all read some more, a lot more. I was reading about the summer solstice and the winter equinox yesterday, just out of curiosity. I was reading about the tropics. And for those of you who don't know, well, you know that the Earth orbits around the sun just like the other 7 planets. Pluto's not a planet, but the Earth, it's not sitting upright like this. It's tilted like this, okay? And it's not passing around the sun in a perfect circle. It's more of an ellipse, an elliptical shape, an egg shape, okay? And that changes. So the Earth has a tilt, it wobbles, okay, and it has the orbit has what's called an eccentricity, so it changes. Those are the Milankovitch cycles. Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson just made a video with someone else about it. I imagine the one of the take-home messages there was that the climate change we're seeing cannot be attributed to the Milankovitch cycles, but it sits at a tilt, and depending upon where it is and which hemisphere we live in, you're going to experience winter, summer, spring, and fall in a certain way. And then at a certain point in the orbit, the days get longer, depending upon where you live, okay? Or the days get shorter, okay? So the longest day for us here in the Northern Hemisphere, the longest day for us is June 20th to the 22nd. I believe that's the summer solstice. And then from summer to autumn, the Earth passes back around the sun, okay? So that when it gets to that side, December 21 to December 2nd, the Northern Hemisphere is facing away from the sun. And so we see less of the sun and the days are shorter. It's the opposite for the Southern Hemisphere. This accounts for our seasons. It accounts for the length of our days. It accounts for the weather patterns. It in part accounts for the weather patterns associated with those seasons. It's very, very fascinating to me. My background is in biology, pharmacology, and toxicology. But I think the other thing that this shows us, and you guys might have experienced this yourself, is that I think depending upon where we are in this orbit, the sun is rising and setting at different locations in the sky. I've never really paid attention to that from the winter to the summer, but if that's true, then it's gonna rise and set at a different I'll say latitude for us. Okay, that's the summer solstice and the winter equinox and seasons and patterns. So one question is, I'm thinking, did I get all my points out there? And then the other thing is that the Earth is in its own ecosystem. This is something I keep driving home in our solar system. It's in its own ecosystem with these other planets. All these other planets are orbiting the sun. These other planets are exerting gravitational pulls on each other. Okay, so the Earth, as I'll describe for this climate debate, because it's a debate, what's often not discussed is what's happening, what's the Earth doing on its own. Okay, there's a lot of talk about, okay, a man is doing this, man is doing this, man is doing this, but what processes is the Earth undergoing on its own, and what's happening with the solar system in total? What's happening with the sun in total? Do those matter? Do those do anything? Or is it all the weather patterns, the things that we see around us, are these all due to man's activities? Tony says, anthropogenic climate change is an interesting topic. It is a very interesting and complex topic. And this is important because this is something our higher ups, they're looking at, the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations. And we as a population, we're so caught on what's happening here on the ground level, whether it's Sha'Carri Richardson, whether it's 50-50, not quite 50-50, whether it's Chris Brown concerts or what, Kevin Samuels, whatever, what Jeffrey Epstein. We're so caught on these things that a lot of people are not looking at what the elites are deciding for us. And these are things that they're looking at. These are things that they're making decisions on. So the climate discussion, it is a debate. It is not despite what they tell you, it is not a clear cut. It's this. Whenever you have science, you have debates. Okay, you have disagreements on what the data and the results are showing. You have varying theories. So in my interest in this started a couple of years ago when I was intimately involved with someone, and this particular person questioned whether or not I believed in science because of some political choices that I made. And what it boils down to is, do you believe what I believe? And if you don't, then something's wrong with you. Okay, so you have climate alarmists and you have climate deniers. Okay, climate alarmists, and climate deniers. Okay, those are two very polarized groups, just like Democrats and Republicans, uh, uh, believers in Jesus Christ versus atheists and agnostics, feminists versus trad wives and trad husbands. This is a very, very polarized thing. And we're in this era where if you don't believe, particularly on the climate alarmist side, if you don't believe what's believed over there, then you are a bit of a heretic and you are a bit of a, you need to be silenced. Okay. I think this picture shows some other interesting things. So there's a difference between weather and climate. Weather refers to a short-term state of the atmosphere. Okay, so your day-to-day, your week-to-week. Climate involves long-term patterns of weather. Okay, so now you're thinking about years, decades, millennia. Okay, weather versus climate. I have a comment here. Tony says distractions. That's correct. We have a lot of distractions, but also people are not curious and they don't care to read and investigate these things further. And messages received from our political class and our talking heads in the media, those celebrities, athletes, entertainers, those things are taken as the gospel. So this climate alarmist versus denier thing, okay, one side, the alarmists, they tend to believe more in modeling, climate modeling. The deniers, the skeptics, they tend to believe more in hard, measurable data and what experiments corroborate other experiments. What can they measure that corroborates a particular theory? That's science. So on the alarmist side, this is a big distinction. On the alarmist side, the prevalent theory is that what's causing temperatures to change on the Earth is carbon dioxide. Okay. There's an alternative theory in terms of how and why the Earth's temperature rises. That other theory is that the sun dictates the Earth's temperatures. It's the primary determinant of the Earth's temperatures. I think the assumption by the general public is that the radiance from the sun is constant. That's not true. The radiance of the sun, it goes up and down. Okay. The sun has its own cycles, and those cycles impact the planets orbiting it. So the first one that I know of to advance this theory was John L. Casey. He wrote this book, Dark Winter. Shout out to my former coworker, Barry, who introduced me to this. I won't say his last name, but that's a theory we're going to talk about in this discussion. Okay. Is the sun the primary determinant of the Earth's weather and climate patterns? Okay. So we are going to be looking at some content from the Heartland Institute. I'm going to show who these people are. AB Media says very interesting. AB Media, thank you for still being here. This isn't. I know having Passport OG is more exciting to people, but AB Media, you being the political pundit of the Black Manosphere, climate is something that the Democratic side, they're hitting that over and over and over again, and trying to stoke alarm and panic in the population. And the Republican side tends to say, okay, well, we're going to drill. Okay. What's the right thing to do? Okay. It's important for the population to be educated scientifically on what's really going on. You guys know the quintessential climate alarmist, Mr. Al Gore.
We're still putting 162 million tons into it every single day, and the accumulated amount is now trapping as much extra heat as would be released by 600,000 Hiroshima-class atomic bombs exploding every single day on the Earth. That's what's boiling the oceans, creating these atmospheric rivers and the rain bombs and sucking the moisture out of the land. And
yeah, when you listen to Al go in like that, you really want to go and just run through a wall and attack people, attack somebody, and silence other people. Let's get another word from Al Gore.
And sucking the moisture out of the land and creating the droughts and melting the ice and raising the sea level and causing these waves of climate refugees predicted to reach 1 billion in this century. Look at the xenophobia and political authoritarian trends that have come from just a few million refugees. What about 1 billion? We would lose our capacity for self-governance on this world.
You just get inspired listening to that. Okay. Now there are some of the deniers, the so-called deniers. I've played drops by Dr. Willie Soon. I have them all queued up here, and we're gonna listen to him talk shortly. But this is there are people hitting back at Al Gore and Michael Mann and Greta Thunberg.
It turns out that this climate is among the most misunderstood subject because Al Gore, the average D student, thinks that he understands climate. My God, it's as sure as gravity. He always say that. You guys are just denier, right?
Okay. So who is Dr. Willie Soon? This will be for you guys. If you're unfamiliar with him, this will be your first time listening to him talk, aside from the drops, the comedic drops that I've played. Well, let's take a quick look at who he is. Okay, this is a quick Google search. Dr. Willie Soon from Cirrus Science. Dr. Willie Soon is an astrophysicist and a geoscientist based in Salem, Massachusetts. Okay, he's from Malaysia. And he received his education at the University of Southern California. So look at those accolades there. Look at those his titles. Geoscientist. He's a geoscientist and an astrophysicist. So for me personally, when I hear astrophysicist, for me that holds a lot of weight. Okay. And I actually created this slide from one of Dr. Soon's talks, the first one that I saw. So climate. What is climate? Climate, what areas of expertise are required to master climate? An understanding of climate requires an amalgamation of astronomy, solar physics, geology, geochronology, geochemistry, sedimentology, tectonics, paleontology, paleoecology, glaciology, climatology, meteorology, oceanography, and ecology, and archaeology and history. So you need a command of all of these disciplines to understand what's going on. You can't just say, okay, well, this summer is hotter than it was last summer, or the summers have been getting increasingly hot over the last 5 to 10 years. What's been happening over the last 100 years? What's been happening over the last 200 years? Okay, are we in some sort of cycle? Okay, that's Dr. Willie Soon. I actually emailed with him. Emailed back and forth with him a little bit. I started reading one of his papers. I didn't get to finish it with all the things that I have to do because it's another science discipline, and I don't understand all of the I didn't understand all the terminology, but maybe one day I'll get to meet and interview Dr. Willie Soon. Maybe live, maybe pre-recorded. The GOAT has entered the chat. Hello, Passport OG. Salute to you. Thank you for being here. What's the weather like in Japan right now, Passport OG? Right now here, it's about 80. It's comfortable here in the Washington, D.C. area. What's the weather like where you guys are? Tony, AB Media, you don't have to say where you are, but what's the weather like where you are? It's not burning up here right now. But that makes sense because we're passing back around the sun into autumn now. Tony says, wow, okay. AB Media says it's 89 degrees in Indiana. Okay, so that's Dr. Willie Soon. the Heartland Institute. What is the Heartland Institute? I would encourage you all to get a complete picture of what's going on. This is a channel I would encourage you all to subscribe to. If you like what I create and you're curious, this would be a good channel for you to follow. So this is Linnea Leuken from the Heartland Institute. She's a research fellow on energy. Okay. Linnea Leuken is a research fellow. Linnea Leuken is a research fellow with the Arthur B. Robinson Center on Climate and Environmental Policy and host of a weekly In the Tank podcast live stream and the Heartland Institute's Climate at a Glance video series. Leuken graduated from the University of Wyoming in 2018 with a BS in petroleum engineering and a minor in geology. In college, she was active in her sorority. Oh, she's in a sorority. The UW shooting sports team and college Republicans. Okay, she's right-leaning, as well as a variety of engineering organizations before coming to Heartland. She worked in the Gulf of Mexico on deep water drill ships as a logging geologist. Okay. Leuken grew up in Killdeer, Illinois, and currently lives in South Louisiana. All right, so I'm going to show a couple of shorts from her as soon as this, okay. I'm going to show a couple of shorts from her. Then we're going to listen to the Dr. Willie Soon talk with the Heartland Institute. That's 27 minutes, and then that's it. But I just want to give you guys a feel for what these people are talking about. And as a testament to how tightly regulated these discussions are, if you guys come back to this video, you'll notice a blue sticker, a blue disclaimer on the bottom. YouTube slaps anything related to climate. YouTube slaps a blue disclaimer on the video to say, okay, you know, well, the United Nations says this, the United Nations says that. It doesn't matter how accomplished the speaker is, okay, they slapped that disclaimer on there, much the same way they slapped a disclaimer on the videos involving the 2020 election. So a lot of these conversations are very, very tightly regulated, okay? And the public perception there's a vested interest in the public perception being controlled. Okay, these are shorts. This is just a warm up for what we're going to look at. Passport OG says, Japan just recorded 2 historical highs, 48.1 and 41.2 entering typhoon season. That must be Celsius and not Fahrenheit. Okay. Not every country uses the same scale for temperature or measurement. I think the United States is on the metric. We're on the metric. I have to go back and relearn that. Tony says 76 for now. Okay. This is a short. This one is called More CO2 equals more crops. Okay. And when you think about it, what carbon dioxide actually is, it's plant food. Okay. At the end of the day, carbon dioxide is plant food, that the plants would really, really like it. And according to this, they do. Okay. Fair use, fair use. More CO2 equals more crops.
This is Linnea Leuken from the Heartland Institute, here with another climate fact check. In this video, I'm going to talk about one of the ways global warming has actually been beneficial. It has improved crop production. As our planet has modestly warmed, data show that crop production and yields throughout the globe, especially for staple crops like corn, wheat, and rice, have increased. Several things are likely contributing to this rise outside of the obvious improvements to modern farming technology. Many of these factors come as a side effect of climate change itself, including longer growing seasons in the northern hemisphere, slightly higher nighttime temperatures with fewer late season frosts, and the elephant in the room, more atmospheric carbon dioxide. Global warming leads to longer growing seasons, with certain parts of the northern hemisphere noticing spring-like conditions a few days to weeks earlier. This allows farmers to get crops in the ground earlier. Another factor is global soil moisture, which has improved as global temperatures have risen. Higher temperatures mean more evaporation from the oceans, which means more precipitation, especially during summer and fall crop seasons. This is a good thing, not a catastrophe.
So, you almost never hear this side of this. You never hear this, okay? Which is why you have to, a platform like this is important and channels like this are important. So again, everybody, this is the Heartland Institute. I would encourage you guys to sub and keep this in your back pocket, just for your own knowledge.
Increased rainfall, especially during the summer, can reduce the need for irrigation, reducing the strain on water supplies and aquifers. Carbon dioxide itself is also beneficial to crop production. Higher levels of CO2 have been proven to boost plant growth and also increase their resistance to drought and heat. Plants use water more efficiently as carbon dioxide increases. These are the reasons why greenhouse operators often pump in extra carbon dioxide. In farming, there are always good and bad seasons. When you see something in the news that claims one food or another is threatened by climate change, an easy thing to do is to find the long-term production data for that crop. 9 times out of 10, you will see that the bad year being reported is the exception to the long-term trend. Production of staple cereal crops such as corn, rice, and wheat have seen increasing yields over time, breaking records almost every year. Even before 2019, production records were set almost every year for the past decade or so. In the United States alone, USDA data shows that since 2015, almost every important U.S. crop has set a record for yield per acre, meaning that less land is needed to grow ever larger amounts of food. It's important to note that because food production has boomed, the recent period of modest warming has seen the largest decline in hunger and malnutrition in human history.
Okay, so that's one.
How people in the 19...
I mean, stop that. Hold on. All right. So you never hear that spin. You never hear that. I shouldn't say spin. You never hear that perspective in this discussion. Why does the mainstream media not present that? I don't know. But I think that's science is about hearing multiple points of view, and you never hear that. We have another one here. I have another one. Okay, this is her. I'm gonna play this last one. I'm not gonna play that one for the sake of time. This one is okay. Yeah. Again, these are valuable because the general public knows absolutely nothing. They don't know about this. The general public, the people at your Thanksgiving table, the people you meet on the street. Nobody knows this. So you listen to candidates talking, and you just buy what they say, hook, line, and sinker. This one is called Weather Events versus Climate Trends. Know the difference. I just talked about this. After this, we will get into the main video. Fair use, fair use.
This is Linnea Leuken from the Heartland Institute, here with another quick climate fact check. In this video...
Hold on. I'm just waiting for my studio to... Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, here we go.
Hey everyone, this is Linnea Leuken from the Heartland Institute here with another quick climate fact check. In this video, I'm going to discuss the difference between weather and climate so you can catch the media or advocates when they're being conflated for the purpose of advancing the false claim that we are living in the age of catastrophic climate change. The World Meteorological Organization has defined climate as the average weather conditions for a particular location over a long period of time. Climate is basically the measurement of temperature, precipitation, and wind speeds at a specific location or region over a certain period of time, which is usually at minimum 30 years. Regions of the planet are divided into different climate zones, like the tundra or an equatorial rainforest. Obviously, the rainforest will have much higher rainfall and temperatures. The tundra, on the other hand, is dry and very cold. Climate isn't really something that can be measured from day to day. It's a statistical construct. It does not really drive daily weather events like an individual thunderstorm, but it can tell us something about what regions might be more prone to those conditions. To measure climate change, one can't look at specific weather events or short-term trends, but rather the average trends over 30 years or more. Weather changes from minute to minute and day to day. And climate is not a synonym for weather, even if journalists and others sometimes use it that way.
So again, you have to understand when they're talking to you, you have to understand what it is and how to parse out the truth and what's being said, and also not get so easily manipulated when highly passionate people are badgering you and berating you over things. Knowledge is power.
Even on the scale of 1 year to the next, this is not climate change. You need a longer time frame. Otherwise, we could argue that the climate changes dramatically every season, but that's silly. Seasonal changes are also not climate change. On the subject of weather, despite the average temperature of the planet having modestly warmed over the past 100+ years, data show that on climate timescales, the frequency and intensity of various weather events, like tropical cyclones and other storms, have not increased. That's all I have for this fact check. For the sources used as references in this video, you can check out climateataglance.com, where you can also download a free copy of the book Climate at a Glance for teachers and students. If you prefer paper, you can purchase a hard copy on Amazon. We also have an app available called Climate at a Glance for Android and iPhone. Thanks for watching.
All right, so I'm going to download that app, Climate at a Glance. I hope I remember to do it after the stream. So there's some key concepts you need to understand. There are some key concepts that maybe are not being parsed out in school, but there are concepts being thrown around by the politicians and the mainstream media. And if you don't know what they're talking about, then they're gonna get you to go the way that they want you to go, and you may be guilted and badgered the way that I was. Do you believe in science? You don't believe what I believe. You don't believe the Earth is burning up, and you don't believe the oceans are boiling and the polar bears are dying and all kinds of things. All right, so Willie soon, 27 minutes. Now the challenge, guys, here. If you guys recall from the drops I played, Dr. Soon is very entertaining. He still has his Malaysian accent, so I'm going to stop this at various points to kind of fill in the blanks and to try to help you guys understand what's being said and why. So bear with me. I appreciate you guys who have hung on. Okay. Everybody give me 1 second. I'm going to take a quick pause for the cause. I'll be right back. Let me know what you think about any of this. Please smash that like button if you haven't. All right, I'm back, and you all are still here. All right, so the key question is, as you're watching this, and again, Dr. Suni talks fast, he's comical, he's entertaining. How much does the sun itself impact the Earth's weather patterns? What does the sun do? Is the sun's radiance constant, or does that go up and down? And if it goes up and down, what's the impact that we experience here on the ground? This is something that no one talks about except in these particular circles. And what is the significance of urban heat centers? Fair use, fair use. Giving credit to the content creators and attribution. Shout out to Anton Daniels. These links are all in the description box. Thank you for coming here, Afro Merchant. Good to see you. Good morning. Almost good afternoon. Fair use, fair use. Dr. Willie Soon and the Heartland Institute.
First main point about sun climate is it's very important. You can quote in unit of power, which is watt, or even in energy will be in joules. I mean, here, just look at the numbers. These numbers are important, by the way. Every time they say the sun cannot cause the earth to change, you just give them 4 times 10 to the 26. I think that's easy enough to remember, isn't it? And then as to how much the earth actually have, it's 2 times 10 to the 17.
So right here, he's pointing out that the sun generates 4 times 10 to the 26 wattage. That's the approximate power output, and the Earth has 2 billion times a weaker amount of that energy at 2 times 10 to the 17 wattage. Okay.
That 2 times 10 to the 17 is actually converted energy, because intrinsically the radiogenic heat, what you call the radioactive decay energy from the Earth core, right? It's only another 10,000 times smaller, 2 times 10 to the 13 compared to 2 times 10 to the 17. Between all the energy, 99.999, it's all coming from the sun, right? So that's very serious. Don't let them fool you. It's just not possible for the sun to not do much. Let's go to the next slide. So, wait, go back to that one. This is actually to put in context. You can even put a number into the so-called power by CO2 molecules. Please read the number 10 to the minus to the power minus 22. I hope some of you know scientific notation, right? This number is not meant to scare you. It's just to provide you a relative context, right? What is what? I mean, you can have 10 to the 19 cubic particle CO2 per centimeter. I mean, it's just nothing. Even if you multiply by that, it's still a very small amount.
So what he's saying here, in terms of wattage, a molecule of carbon dioxide accounts for 10 to the minus 22. So what he's arguing, and the paper I started reading from him, there's a series of figures, but he's basically trying to communicate that carbon dioxide does not account for significant heat output or heat energy. That's the point of this.
So there's just no way the CO2 can do anything, actually, right? Next. So the most direct, you want to bear witness to the power of the sun? Take a look at what the sun is happening today, tomorrow. Actually, for the past 3 days, the sun, this one is actually on the left, is an image of the sun, more or less in X-ray already, 211 angstrom. So that one can be sensitive to actually temperature from the plasma of the sun that is on the order of 2 million degrees. The one on the right-hand side, by the way, is up to 20 million degrees. Okay, this is very serious, what you call corona heating that puzzles solar scientists for a very long time already. But regardless of that, I want you to focus on the black region, which is called corona hole. These are the region in which the magnetic field line, instead like a sunspot, it closed magnetic, is actually open. This field line come all the way towards the Earth. That's where they channel this thing called a fast solar wind coming. And that thing is traveling at 1 to 2 million miles per hour, okay?
So the sun has sunspots. It's a generator itself. It has sunspots. It has these coronas, and what he's saying is when these I believe when these coronas form, the sun generates a solar wind. So there is a solar wind, okay, and our atmosphere and the Earth's magnetic field in part protect us from that. So we don't. I think we experienced that via the northern lights in Iceland, but it's outputting more than just heat. Okay. All right.
The category 5 hurricane is actually 150 miles. This is 2 million miles per hour. So you can imagine this thing come real quick. Next, what happened? So that's a direct impact. Of course, there's a big hole, right? Big corona hole. We call it corona hole. It's very different from sunspot, by the way. So next, please. What the trigger effect? You get this beautiful aurora. By the way, this is for Charles Roder. I didn't know he was in Finland. That's what 2 nights ago that you get this phenomenon. Next. And then you can, for US, Duluth, Minnesota, you can see that too. I'm sure tonight also you will have some event somewhere. Next, please. Another one I think I want to show is this one is because to prove to you that the sun impact is not only in one place, right? This is in the Southern Hemisphere. I saw somebody from New Zealand was logging into this podcast as well. So it's from Dunedin, which is, of course, the South Island. This is the clear saying that, you can't escape the sun because we are bathed inside the sun's sphere, basically. That's why it's called the heliosphere, right? Now, let me just quickly run through the next slide, please. This is actually want to mention about how you study sun-climate connection.
So the IPCC, that's the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change. This is a part of the United Nations. So this is the side that the climate alarmists are aligned with, and the climate deniers and skeptics are on the other side. So the IPCC, they lean more on modeling. So that's significant because a model can model the variables you give it, and the models can't predict certain things, as Dr. Soon has said, such as cloud coverage. There's just some things that the models can't predict. So he's pretty harsh on rebutting the IPCC. Fair use.
On this part, I want to point to one problem, which is, of course, the thermometer data, which Anthony Watt is the true expert on this topic. And this is the graph that you see 1 million times. In fact, if not 1 million, could be more than 100 million that you have seen this graph. They all look the same. It's go, cook, and then warm up in 1940, 50, and then boom, rise up. I want to remind you that this graph, we mentioned urban heat island effect. Yes, this is not a legitimate graph to study global warming, by the way, because this has nothing to do with anything related to the atmosphere. This has something to do with the urban heat island effect. We have already published several papers on this. Anthony himself has published the quality of the thermometer data. So next slide, just to prove to you that we can do it.
Okay, the urban heat island effect. Is anybody familiar with the urban heat island effect and what urban heat centers are? Okay, this is very, very important for this topic. Okay, this involves disaggregating the data and not just homogenizing everything into one number. Okay, so the urban heat island effect, you guys let me know what you think there in the chat. This is the urban heat island effect. So apparently, this is from NASA itself. This is for Climate Kids. Okay, so this picture kind of sums it up right here, the urban heat island effect. So our cities, it seems, generate more heat and are hotter than our forest areas and our rural areas. Okay, so our cities, this link is below, you have fewer trees, you have more concrete, you have buildings, you have metals, you have cars driving everywhere, okay, emitting, you have cars driving, okay. And the cars, in addition to emitting carbon dioxide, cars also emit vapor, water vapor. So there's heat being generated. There are power plants, there's power usage. So all these things. So a more accurate way, you have to account for that, okay? And this is something I did look up. I did note this. I did ask Google Gemini this yesterday. I don't have it ready. Okay. As a scientist myself, I was curious about this. I'm going to show it to you guys. Afro Merchant, thank you for staying here. It is interesting. It is interesting. And I'm going to give you a wrench, Afro Merchant. You don't have a wrench. Okay, so you are now a moderator. And I'm going to keep going because I don't want to prolong this, but I want to show this to you guys for the record. Okay. So I asked Google Gemini this as I was preparing this. Just think about it. So I said urban land cover percentage. This is my question. What percentage of the Earth's surface is covered by cities? And this reads, according to various studies and estimates, the percentage of the Earth's surface covered by cities and other urban areas is relatively small, but the exact figure can vary depending on the data and methodology used. A common estimate is that urban areas cover between 1% and 3% of the Earth's total land surface. Some sources have even reported figures as low as 0.22% or as high as 10% when considering artificial surfaces more broadly. It's important to note that these figures refer to the land surface, not the entire surface of the Earth, which is mostly covered by water. Okay, so then the question is, can such a small percentage of the surface that greatly impact the temperature of the entire planet, most of which is covered by water? All right. While the percentage of land covered by cities may seem small, the impact of urbanization is significant as cities consume a disproportionately large amount of the planet's resources. Okay, but that's the key question. Okay, how much are these urban centers impacting the entire temperature of the entire planet? Are they enough? And also, when you're should you be taking measurements from those urban centers and then combining them with measurements from your forest areas and your more rural areas? Okay, that's a nuance. That's something to keep in mind when people show that graph that Willie soon just showed. All right, let's keep going. I don't want to make this all afternoon. Fair use. You guys let me know what you think there in the chat. If anyone wants to make a donation to the channel, my information is there in the ticker. Fair use. This is supposed to be projecting. There it is. Oh, Spaceballs. Where's here? Here's now. What are we watching? We're watching right now. Where's now? That's right now. That's here. All right. Fair use. Okay.
So you look at the orange kind of blur thing, there's a lot of curve in there. I can tell you it's from England Climatic Research Unit. It's from this group, these two scientists from England, Carlton and Wei, and then Chinese Meteorological Administration, Berkeley, Earth, NASA, Goddard Institute for Space Study, the NOAA. And then the black curve is actually what we can do. We already published that many years ago. What does this say? This actually says that, yeah, you can do that. I can do it. So it's called replication in science. But the only way we get this curve is what? You have to include the urban station that is contaminated by urban heatland. In fact, that's what I'm trying to tell you. So to study actually climate change in the what you call studying the different causal factor instead of just concrete and all this other stuff, you really need to remove this urban station. Okay.
So do you guys understand that? The disaggregating the urban stations from the rest of the planet. At least taking a look at those numbers and seeing what's the difference and seeing, okay, over time, have the urban centers caused, have the urban centers increase the temperature of the planet that much? Okay, and what I keep hearing is that the entire planet, the temperature has increased 1 degree. It's on track to increase 1 degree or 1.5 degrees. Okay, let's keep going. Fair use.
That you need to remove this, or else you cannot study this. Okay, that's basically, you can read all about it in come to series.science, CERES.science.com to get the details paper and explanation. If I may say, we published a layman summary for this for the Heritage Foundation, I think 2-3 months ago. So you can also find that report, which is, coach in more access language, more easy to access language. So please read them or tell more people about this. Don't buy into the IPCC nonsense. So next, please. Yeah, that's just to show you that, yeah, we can do all of that, right? It's called replication. I think the next slide, I don't remember what is the next slide. Oh, therefore, I want to show this. Yes, I like this quote very much. It's from John Clauser, which is a friend of ours. He said that the IPCC is one of the worst sources of dangerous misinformation. It's not only misinformation, it's dangerous misinformation. And John Clauser, please next slide, just to show who he is. He's actually the Nobel Prize laureate in physics, right? I mean, he is the guy who actually, I would say, politically, I'm sure he's leaning on the left, a bit liberal and this and that. But he believes in science. Whoever that think that science is valuable, I don't think you can escape the conclusion that IPCC is indeed very manipulative. It's not about science. It's always anti-science, and it's causing the world a lot of problem, I think.
Okay, so he noted that this gentleman here is a notable physicist, okay, and he's liberal leaning, but he disagrees with the IPCC. I think that's significant. And Dr. Soon just noted that the conclusions that the IPCC that they're coming to, that's causing a lot of problems. Okay, one of them may be the birth rate crisis. Okay, so let's keep going. Fair use.
You even owe us an apology in the future if we actually would be able to bring them down to some justice, some sense of confession that they are wrong, things like that. But IPCC, I kind of give up on them. They're just going to keep doing what they're doing because they are mandated to do this, right? To manipulate the information, but they are definitely not a place to look for science. If you want science, you come to Heartland Institute, you go to Anthony Watt's page, or you come to series.science.com, right? Even Heritage Foundation has some good science in that sense. Next, please. Now I want to quickly jump over this graph that I think maybe not often see. Even the next click, this just to show you the range of the temperature. If you plot the monthly temperature data of the US average temperature, you will see that the average temperature is run very large amplitude, 45 degree of a seasonal amplitude range. This is the whole US. And let's go next.
Okay, I want to take a look at this and note this. This says 100% confident that it is impossible to find CO2 in USA records. So this is showing the variation over the years. From that looks like 19. Oh, I can't see that. That looks like 1985. I think that's 1965. The 1970s. We'll say the 1970s. Out to 2025. So you're seeing all this each year. You're seeing all this noise, okay? This huge variation. So if it were truly, the temperature were truly changing with CO2, you would see something more linear, but you're seeing it bounce around like this, indicating that there's no correlation, there's no distinct pattern. Fair use.
I just want to summarize for you. If you put that in season, you do it every year. This one, you take the 2020 to 2024 data. Indeed, it's 45 degrees Fahrenheit or 25 degrees Celsius. Let me show you then how much the actually sunlight is coming in on the seasonal sense. Next. You see it's of the order. This is the same contaminants US. It's of the order from winter to summer. Of course, you can see time of the year, right, on the horizontal axis. Somewhere middle 180 will be in June, right? So from winter to summer is on the order of 2010 watt per meter square.
Okay, so this is showing over I don't know which year this is, but it's showing there are 365 days in a year. Okay, and this is showing that the solar radiance of the sun in watts per meter squared, and what you're seeing is around 200 days around day 200, the solar radiance of the sun is trending upwards, and then it is trending back downwards towards the end of the year. So that would, around 200 days, that's summertime in the United States. That's summertime. All right. And that makes sense. That kind of makes sense that your irradiance is going up over the summer months, and it's trending back down and getting colder in the winter months. I don't know where exactly these numbers were taken, but that's what this data is showing. Fair use.
I wonder if how many of you realize that if you take this and then you try to quantify this thing called the climate sensitivity, what do you think you will get? Have a look. Click next, please. Yeah, show the next slide. So to show you, if you put the number together, you overlap them, it implies of the order of 1 degree for doubling CO2. This is telling you that this is very, very powerful. Instead of model, from the data itself, you already can see that any climate model from IPCC that promotes 3 degree, 4 degree, or whatever, or even 2 degree is already over 100% or exaggerated, okay? It's just from number like this. If you want to live in the real world, I think we will have better stick to some of this number, okay? Next, please.
So in other words, doubling the CO2 does not increase the temperature. That's what he just basically said. And the IPCC models very liberally predict increasing CO2 increases temperature.
Okay, if I go a little too fast, you guys can have the slide, obviously, right? This is just an example to show you. If I were to do that in terms of the temperature changes, and then you plot what your best estimate of the sun output, this is basically trying to revisit some of the old issue for those who are not familiar. Remember, I told you that if you just take the rural station, you will not be able to see this high warming trend at the tail end of it, right? And this shows you that indeed there are some plausible and possible connection between the sun and the climate in US, right? So I think I'm almost there, but I just show you that some update. These are results that I already published in 2021, so I don't want to embarrass myself giving you old results. But this is not old. This result is not going to change, by the way. There's just nothing wrong with this.
So for those of you still hanging out with me, so what this is showing, if you look at the x-axis, those are years, 1800 to let's say 2010. Okay, this left y-axis is showing total solar irradiance, and then this over here, this right y-axis is showing temperature anomalies. So that's temperature. So what you're seeing is you're following the solar irradiance, and you're measuring the temperature, and these seem to overlap very, very strongly, very, very closely. They seem to parallel very, very closely. So this is suggesting that it is the total solar irradiance that is dictating temperature. And notice that I just noticed this, the title says the rural United States. So this, maybe you can't measure this in the city centers because of the urban heat island effect, But in your rural areas, the temperature seems to closely follow the total irradiance of the sun. I'm looking at my clock here. We're going to go a little bit longer. I probably won't play the entire 27 minutes for you guys. We'll just go a little bit longer. But this is a key observation for me and for you guys. Okay.
So that's the point. And all result doesn't mean it's not good. It's actually very valid result. We published in about 3 papers actually explaining in details. You know, you can really have any crack at it to see what's wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with these things. Okay, we are working very hard, of course, to try to quantify now how much what we call the urban heat island effect and all these other factors that Anthony Watt would be able to tell you all about it, right? You know, the sighting effects and the time of day of observation. We're working very hard. Anthony, we got delayed, but we're going to produce that paper that we promised to work with you on this topic. So my goal in life is actually to produce what you call peer review publication, right? To really provide this so that we can be on equal stand with IPCC or any one of those guys, right? From NOAA, from NASA, so that they cannot, quote unquote, ignore us because we publish in the same place that they do, right? So this is why I think that working on science very seriously, very carefully, you know, of course, it's a lot of work than to just chit chat, right? I mean, produce much more important, what you call benchmark for them to really chase after us instead of us constantly chasing after their headline and all this stupid thing from the snow thing and to the sleeping, you know, caused by the global warming or even the cherry blossom thing. It's all basically big lies in that sense. All right, next. I think we just skip to this new paper that I was able to catch.
Okay, guys, I'm going to jump ahead to, let's see. Where are we? Okay, I'm going to play this part on the monsoons in Asia. And then I'm going to jump ahead to the Q&A, which is very, very short. Then I'm going to wrap up because I'm looking at my day here. So we're going to go just a little bit longer here. We'll jump ahead, then I'll wrap up.
Since you asked me to update some, I just provide 2 papers that just recently been published. Okay, let's show the first one. The first one, I think, is just published about a week ago or 13 days, 2 weeks now. This is based on a cave in Vietnam, I think northwestern Vietnam, where they go inside, they got this paleotum, you know, this stalagmite, right, to try to cut them off because this stalagmite form layers, you know, because of the precipitation drip, so they actually have annual resolution. And this is very interesting. This shows indeed that there is strong evidence of how even the Asian monsoon, which is the rainfall season, right? Monsoon is basically the land-sea contrast, right, of the rain. And the way the sun works is actually very simple. It's always the same thing. Like the curve that you saw, the sun connecting with the Earth US temperature. Guess what? The simplest solution is that just a simple evaporation from the ground or from the ocean. I mean, I can show those kind of sample graph, but idea here is basically that this thing is also able to modulate regional climate mode, like monsoon system. Monsoon system is operating not on a global scale. It's more on the land-sea contrast. We have a North American monsoon, which is Mexico, you know, the southwest of US. And then you have this South Asian, which is India, you know, and Indochina area, right? Monsoon intensity. I mean, the proof is basically they study the data record because they have annual resolution. So they were able to find a lot of this, what you call solar fingerprint, because the solar activity does changes in some very interesting way. Beside the 11 years famous sunspot cycle, it has that 180-year cycle and things like that. You can actually show, next slide, please, just to put through. You can read all you want about this. Of course, I'll give you the slide and Heartland should put it up.
Okay, he just mentioned, let's see, Passport OG, salute to another fellow scientist here, a chemist / anthropologist. He says, give credit to these guys explaining science in a second language. That's really hard. Yeah, so Passport OG, you probably met over there several individuals from Malaysia. But he mentioned this paper involves speleothems. What these are, just so you guys know what he's talking about. I'm just trying to distill this down for you all. I looked this up yesterday. Speleotheum is speleothems are mineral deposits found in caves formed by the prediction of dissolved minerals from water. All right. These formations, also known as cave formations, come in various shapes and sizes, including stalactites, stalagmites, and flowstones. They are essentially secondary mineral deposits within the cave, distinct from the bedrock or living organisms. So the significance of that, and the reason he was talking about that, is because those scientists in Korea, those formations are dictated by rain and sedimentation. So what he was also saying was that the monsoons are dictated by land temperatures. The monsoons are dictated by land temperatures and water temperatures. And once you get enough of a difference, you're going to get the monsoons. I believe the tornadoes. We have Tornado Alley here in the United States. In the first Willie Soon talk I watched said the same thing. Those tornadoes become more prevalent when you get differences in the ground. I think you need warm air coming in from the Caribbean, and you need the cool air in the America's breadbasket, Kansas, Oklahoma, because that's where those things usually happen, all the tornadoes. So once you get that difference, that significant difference, you're going to get the tornadoes or the monsoons. So then the question is, what's dictating the sharp increase in temperature of the Caribbean water and also the water there in the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean? Okay, is that coming from carbon dioxide? He made a strong case that carbon dioxide does not contribute significant energy to do such a thing. Or is it coming from solar irradiance? Okay, that's the point of all this. Afro Merchant says, I have read how some scientists believe that there are natural heat changes / waves of thousands of years, yet some climate activists exaggerate humans are the cause. Makes sense if we are the cause of urban. Yeah, that's the important question. This is the important conversation, or at least a part of the conversation that we need to have. Passport OG says, stalagmites. I remember from the Boy Scouts. Well, I wasn't in the Boy Scouts, so this is my first time taking a hard look at this. I'm going to skip ahead let's bring that back up. I'm going to let Willie finish this point, and then we're going to skip ahead to the Q&A, and then I'll wrap up. Fair use, fair use.
Actually, there are correspondence. The compound TT is the one that from this stalagmite data sets, and then you have the beryllium-10, which is a measure of the solar activity. You will see some similarity in some of these periods, right, that they've been detected in the record. And this is actually not even the most recent period. This is during the glacial time. I think they cover like 30,000 years ago to some, I forget what year. Yeah, you can see roughly the time period. But anyway, let's go to the next.
So I would have to study these graphs to apparently there's a correlation between these three figures, but he just mentioned the glacial period. So let's see, Afro Merchant, you did mention changes over thousands of years. So there we're talking about timescales, and the Earth has gone through its own climate cycles independent of the combustion engine and this modern era of man. So it's already, we know that it's gone through its own cycles. The question is, what's man contributing to all of this right now? I'm going to skip ahead, and so we can wrap up. So I can wrap up. So 17 minutes. Right about here. So these are all We looked at the shorts by Linnea. These gentlemen are also on with her on this podcast. Jim Lakely, Anthony Watts, and there's Dr. Willie soon. So we'll listen to some of the Q&A. Then I'll wrap the stream up. Fair use. Go
ahead.
The graph, the most important thing that you presented is the graph that shows the TSI versus the rural temperature data set.
Yeah, maybe.
So the TSI, again, the total solar irradiance versus the rural temperature data set.
That's gold as far as I'm concerned. Sunspot cycles, every time we analyze those on WhatsApp with
no, I agree with you.
They don't really come together with a solid answer. We get all kinds of, all across the board answers about the solar cycles. But the TSI versus the temperature, that is important. That right there is, now someone might say, well, correlation is not causation. But I don't know what your correlation number is on this, but it looked pretty good to me just by my Mark 6 eyeball right here. So I think this is the thing that really needs to be pushed about solar, to the exclusion of some of these other things like solar cycles, because solar cycles and temperature don't always match up. Yes, there's differences in TSI, but this is really the thing that gives.
No, thank you for your comment, Anthony. It's valid. These are the things that I can say that, of course, they cross our mind. We studied this very carefully. In fact, we're not only showing it for US, right? We can show it for many other regions. We can show for the Arctic. Even Arctic is very hard to get rid of some of this non-climatic factor because it's not all clean, even though you see that there's no population in Arctic region. Right. There's another project that we are diving into, but it's the hard part is, of course, gaining those what you call the meta state history station data. For European station, I'm happy to report to Anthony, we got 800 of those station history, so kind of in good shape to try to study some of those for the European record, right? Well, I like to touch Australia, but those guys are all cleaning up, and nobody know where the meta station history is. That sort of problem. Yeah. Well, we'll keep trying because this is the way actually to get closer to the truth. I totally agree with your comment. Is completely valid because, for example, on the 11-year cycle, I can tell you it's a bit like this. The Earth.
So what I've learned is the sun. I think he just mentioned an 11-year cycle. So the sun. So you would look for those changes in output from the sun every 11 years, and the sun, it has magnetic poles. I believe that flip as well. Let's let Dr. Soon continue.
It's a very strange kind of filter. Okay, it does filter things out. For the fast transient, it's very hard to detect them. But if you actually are able to, let's say, record things in the troposphere or stratosphere, the 11-year signal is there. Actually, the sunspot type is there. It's just that when you come down near to the surface, things sort of disappear. So it turned into, instead of high pass filter, people who know this electronic thing, it become a low pass filter. So the effect of those longer term, like the multi-decadal thing, shows up much more clearly. In fact, in rainfall record, you can kind of see something. You're right. I don't want to get into this. I know Willie Session-Bach, some of your good people, absolutely top-notch kind of thinker, who actually kind of very skeptical, and I am also skeptical. Same way, I think the same like you. But I think that it's hard to escape the conclusion when you think it from the big picture. This is why I start with the picture of the energetic constraint, because you have to remember there's no other sources of energy around. So the rest is like a little puzzle searching for all these details. And then plus that weather and climate operates on such a different spatial and time scale that you got to be much more careful about that. Yeah.
Weather and climate operate on such a vastly different time scale. Okay.
Yes, the most important thing that you can also show actually a lot of this solar activity, kind of solar irradiance type, can affect a lot of this mode, this different what you call large scale operation mode. It's hard to show for ENSO, but you can show for the AMO, for example, right? You can show that. I published paper on that explaining the relationship with the Arctic temperature and the hydrology, things like that. So yes, a lot more work to be done.
I have a question. Andy, if you can bring that graph back up in the split screen. So we all know why the temperature series doesn't go prior to 1980, because it just wasn't anything until the Weather Bureau formed, the Cooperative Observer Network, and that spread around the world. But what about the TSI from 1800 to 1880? How did that get measured? Or is that some kind of an estimate or a proxy?
It is an expert proxy, yes. I can tell you that we recently, I just hope that maybe we invite my colleague come out, Ronan Connolly. He's also a pretty good guy. And we just produced a paper that resolved this satellite part. That I can tell you that they keep, in fact, they always have paper that only say that the distant satellite going down. We show that not so. This is a huge breakthrough because the whole solar physics community are stuck. They refuse to work on the problem properly. We work on it properly. Therefore, we come up with the best, what you call long-lasting results. That I hope that some of them will start looking into this, or else the problem going to persist for another 50 years. I'm very sorry. But we publish now to say this. And the pain is that I have to find $5,000 to pay for these damn papers, okay?
So science costs money. But for those of you who don't know, he mentioned a proxy. So I think Anthony asked, prior to 1880, how is that red line? Is that a proxy? So a proxy is something that you can use to gauge something else. So back in the 1800s, they didn't have all the high-tech equipment we have now, but there are other measurements that they were able to take, it seems, to get a feel for what the solar irradiance was during that time. So that's a proxy. In science, sometimes you can't measure the thing directly. You have to use something else to give you insight as to your measurement of interest, what happened with your measurement of interest.
It's a very painful thing that these people are taking the money.
Don't you get millions from big oil? That should be
chump change. This is one of my smaller house.
So there's a joke there. Anthony just asked him, you don't get millions, you don't get billions from big oil. So in this climate thing, people get smeared and discredited, much like the gender war thing. So one of the things that's been said about Dr. Willie Soon is that he's being paid by big oil. So that's where that joke came from. That's why Anthony said that. You didn't get the money from big oil? So you really have to do your research. If what you're saying is going against the grain of what, I'll say, the Matrix wants you to believe, you really have to do your research to see whether someone is legitimate, whether they're crooked, whether they're legitimate or they're crooked. Fair use. This has a few more minutes and then we're done.
One of my very smaller house that, just for me to drink beer. Anyway, well, let's not get taught this, but there's a lot to do. I'm just saying that step by step, science, you have to tackle also the problem, not all at the same time with taking a chunk. That I felt very proud. This published was probably around December of 2024 of Astrophysical Journal. I mean, it's an expensive place to publish, but it's a good place because it's a place where everybody, serious people on solar physics ought to pay attention to this. So I'm very proud. Come to series.sign, CERES-sign.com. You will find the paper under publication by Connolly Soon et al. In Astrophysical Journal. I think that paper is kind of not yet been discussed. We haven't been also going around. We're busy working on the cherry blossom. We are working on so many other problems. So we are very, very, hard at work, put it this way. And I hope more people will make aware of this paper, of course, of all our works. And then, in fact, it's not just one work, it's every work. I mean, if you like, we even work on COVID-19, right? Things like that.
So he mentioned the cherry blossoms a couple of times. So here in DC, for those of you who don't know, there is a cherry blossom festival that takes place in the spring, probably March, April. So we know that flowering plants, in many instances, they're synced up with Mother Nature. So if it's too hot, if it gets warm early, okay, those cherry blossoms, they're gonna blossom early. If it gets warm later, then they're gonna blossom later. So whenever there's a uh, a weather variance that causes a alteration in when those cherry blossoms blossom versus what's normally expected, people start ringing the alarm bells. Like there's something wrong. There's something wrong. Okay, that's why he keeps mentioning the cherry blossoms. Okay, fair use.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Willie. I put a link to a PDF version
Please let them have the
of your presentation in the chat, and I've actually, as you were finishing up there, amended the description of this video. First time I've ever done that in the middle of a stream, and so I think there's a hyperlink that's working. You can just click on it to where you can get it from the Heartland website. So anybody in the chat, if you want to test out my attempt to give it to you in live, and let us know how it went, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of questions for you, Willie, so I'm just going to hand this over to Linnea. Take it away.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you very much to everybody who has submitted questions. There are a lot of them to get through. So I'm going to read out the questions for our audio only listeners so that they can get the benefit of understanding what the full context is that we're responding to here. So we are going to start with this one that is simple, and I think Dr. Soon you'll be able to respond to it very easily. And that's from Marcia, who says, "What causes variations in TSI?"
Okay, it's solar magnetism. You know, the sun is basically a fluid that is plasma, because which mean the atom would not be able to remain as an atom, so it's a neutral, so there's an electron being stripped. For example, the corona picture that I showed, the iron atom is being stripped about 23. There are 56 electrons outside the iron. It's been stripped, so they become charged. So it's magnetism. So when you have a flow, so immediately you have electricity and magnetism. It's the magnetism, because the magnetism can produce dark region and bright region. So you see the net, it's basically the battle within the dark and the bright region, right? And then the dark region is operating on 100,000 kilometers or 10,000 kilometers scale, and then the small one goes down as small as we can measure them down to meters. I'm sorry if you know numbers. Therefore, it's very difficult to do the bright one, but in the net, is the bright region. When the sun is more active, the bright region win over the dark region, so you get net bright. Okay, when you have more active, the sun is brighter. Okay, and then of course associated phenomena will be the flare, the corona mass ejection, so on and so forth, that produce you actually this famous aurora, right? So I think that's about. There's a lot more details, but basically the simple answer is solar magnetism. Yeah.
So that's a beautiful connection between physics, astronomy, weather, and also you can bring that down to agriculture, and because the sun, what it's doing is it's operating. That's all physics. That's all physics and chemistry, right? But that impacts the biology that we see here on the ground levels. That was a very, very beautiful connection of those things. This has like 1 more minute or 30 seconds. So that's the Heartland Institute, guys. If you're not subbed, I would consider subbing. The cool thing about that is that Linnea said we have a lot of questions. To me, that says that there are a lot of people, a lot of other people who are curious and who are dialed in and who want to know the truth and who want to know all sides of this discussion. So that was kind of heartwarming for me as a scientist myself, because people will fight you over this. Significant others from experience will fight you over this whole thing. People will vote on this. People will decide to have children or not have children based upon whether or not they think the world is going to be here in 15 years or even 5 years. People are running on this politically. So this really matters. I'm going to bring this up really, really quickly because I want to download this app. The app that Linnea talked about. Maybe one of you guys would like to download it as well. So for our common knowledge, I'm going to load this short one more time and skip ahead to that part. Give me a second. And I also want to thank you guys who hung on towards the end. This one, in terms of content, in terms of this was very, very dense. Okay, so this was very, very dense. And I was thinking last night, okay, how is he didn't show up today, but I was thinking, how is T Riddler going to do with this one? Because this is very, very dense. All right, so the app is called Climate at a Glance. I don't know if there is an associated charge with this, but I'm about to find out. So I'm going to download this onto my Android. This is for Android and iPhone. So if you guys want to learn more about this as you go, this is the app. So Climate at a Glance app. Heartland Institute. Install. Yeah, so and for those watching, the Heartland Institute did not put me up to this. I don't know any of them. I think they have a meeting, which I would be curious to go to. But yeah, it's so far it just jumps right in. All topics, climate change impacts, economics and policy, extreme weather, underlying science. So I will be taking a look at this on my time off over the next month. So guys, that's it. That's all I have. So thank you for you guys who came through and hung on and watched and learned something. I hope you all learned something. I enjoy listening to Dr. Willie Soon talk, and there literally isn't enough hours in the day to study everything. So you need honest people and genuine people to study these things and communicate the results, even if they're going to get attacked for it. And you will get attacked for this. All right, everyone. Yeah, so I'm going to take a little break, so you won't see me for at least a couple of weeks. I will resume sometime in September. But of course, football season, that will be football season as well. So I think I will still do the Saturday morning time slot. This has been an effective time slot. If I move to Sunday morning, that would conflict with going to church. Sometimes I do go to church to worship and to fellowship. But I want to thank everybody here who keeps coming back and who enjoys this stuff. Passport OG says, never considered solar flares as climate drivers. I don't know if it's the flares themselves. I think it's Dr. Soon talked about the coronas, the solar wind. But I think what was really powerful was the output that he quoted at the beginning. I think he quoted 10 to the 29th watts per meter squared. That's a huge output. Okay, so what we're talking about here is, where is the energy coming from? The heat energy that's impacting our weather patterns, our climate patterns, both our weather and our climate patterns. What timescales are these variations occurring on, and where are those energy inputs coming from? Those are the key underlying questions. Is it carbon dioxide, or is it total solar irradiance? Is it some mixture of the two? And also, are the heat outputs from the urban centers different from those in our rural areas? The data he presented and the theory he's presenting seems to suggest that there is a significant difference, and we have to take those differences into consideration when thinking about this whole thing. All right, everyone. Thank you for those of you who come to hang out. For the new people, even for the returning people, I am early in my author's journey. Jeff St. James says we need to read more, particularly as Black people. And he said that in that stream with Crimson Cure that I showed. My book is The Engineers of Western New York Basketball Story, Part 1, Innocent Basketball Dreams. It is a story about changing environments. It is very much a manhood journey, in addition to being about the great game of basketball. So for my YouTube subs, I'm selling the hard copy for $25 here. That includes shipping and handling. The paperback is going for $22. That also includes shipping and handling. This is available on Amazon for $35. So I'm giving a steep discount, and it's available on Amazon for $27. So I'm giving a discount as well, the hardcover and the paperback. All right. So with that, everybody, I talk with some of you offline, so I will talk with some of you offline, but for the rest of you, I will talk to you in a little while. If you want to follow me on other social media, you can follow me on X at Big Words Are Powerful. You can follow me on Instagram at AnwarYusuf76. My official email address for this platform is bigdiscuss76@bigwordsarepowerful.com. That Facebook page doesn't exist anymore, or at least it's not under my control. I do have another one, but Facebook has some wonky rules with its business pages. So, but you can contact me if you want to contact me in the next month. So, all right, everybody, stay curious, read. Reading is good. Shout out to the Pop the Balloon or Find Love show, even though it may give off author vibes. And you may feel inclined to read books on vacation. I know I will be, but read, study lessons, build your inner power. That's a lyric from Gangstar's Moment of Truth. That's my favorite rap group of all time. DJ Premier and Guru. Read, study lessons, and build your inner power. The next level doesn't tolerate cowards. Okay. All right, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. If you're in the replay gang, please let me know what you think in the comments section below. As always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Always try to do your best. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Yeah, consider going over and subscribing to the Heartland Institute. I believe that we can get valuable information from anybody, whether they are white, black, orange, purple, green, or whatever, whether or not they're Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, liberals, libertarians. You can get valuable information from everybody. All right, everyone. I will talk to you all sometime in the near future. Take care. Bye-bye.